Winter Games are also being played some thousands of miles away from Beijing in Ukraine. Here the game involves weapons, and instead of athletes, there are troops. The rules are fairly simple. The side that blinks first loses. On one side you have Russia. Its military is stationed right outside Ukraine. There are troops, there are tanks, even blood banks. On the other hand, you have the West, the United States, NATO, and of course Ukraine. They're ready with their sanctions. The two sides have kicked off a crisis. Both accuse each other of expansion, of sounding the war bugle. Both want the other side to wave the white flag first. The West says it won't press sanctions if Russia de-escalates. Russia says it will de-escalate if the West agrees to its demands. The same story is playing on loop every passing day, but in a first, a message has come from the Russian team captain.
We should find a way to ensure security of all participants of this process: Ukraine, European countries, Russia. It is possible to do only through a serious, thoughtful attitude to documents proposed by us.
Russian President Vladimir Putin wants NATO to stop expansion, not deploy weapons to Ukraine, pull back troops from Eastern Europe. NATO says these are non-starters. It is sticking to its game. The West has once again given just two options to Russia: de-escalate or face sanctions.
My impression is that at the current time, Russia has an important choice to make. It can choose to negotiate with a view to de-escalation, or it can face harsh economic sanctions.
We are keen to engage in dialogue. Of course we are, but we have the sanctions ready.
There is a clear stalemate, and neither side wants to be seen as the weaker side. So Russia is playing war games in Belarus. It has set up a field camp and is training with the Belarusian military. On the other front, the US is deploying 3,000 troops to Eastern Europe. As Western leaders continue holding meetings, the latest one was between British Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. They met in Kiev. Johnson addressed the press soon after. He once again highlighted that the West is ready with its sanctions. As for Zelensky, here's what he said.
We are grown boys. We must do something that can deoccupy our territories, something that protects our state in one way or another.
He's right. These are grown boys. They could have played their geopolitical game better and not allowed it to turn into a war game. Instead, the two sides are fighting it out on every possible platform. The latest showdown was on the floor of the United Nations. Take a look at this.
Our messages have been clear and consistent. We seek the path of peace. We seek the path of dialogue. We do not want confrontation, but we will be decisive, swift, and united should Russia further invade Ukraine.
Перемещение российских войск в пределах нашей собственной территории.
You want it to happen, you're waiting for it to happen, as if you want to make your words become the reality.
И не вызывавшие никакой истерики.
Where does all of this leave the people of Ukraine? They have been caught in the middle as the two sides try to kick into each other's goals. Those at the front line are living in bomb shelters. All they want is peace, they say.
We want peace already so that the children can finally go to school, so that we can go outside, so that the people can stop being afraid.
But peace won't help either NATO or Russia score a political goal. The only way they win is if the other side backs down. So here's where the game stands at the moment. Both the West and Russia are trying to paint each other as the bad guy. Both sides are trying to use every possible pressure tactic, and neither is ready to blink yet. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.